He said, and besides that, he said, my family is the poorest in Manasseh. And he said, I'm the poorest in my family. How are you calling me mighty? See, he was leaning on finite understanding. Gideon was only looking at what was happening right then, but the angel was talking about something that was getting ready to happen. Can I preach to somebody about something that's getting ready to happen? That your finite understanding will mess it up.
Thank you, Jesus. Hey, and let God. You gotta and let God. Don't worry about it. And let God. Cast your burden and let God. Let God do it. Let God do it. Let God do it. Let God do it. Don't worry about it. You gotta let him do it. Don't cry about it. You gotta let him do it. While you're staying up all night. While you're worried about it, you can't work it out. Let God do it. Let God do it.
And the third chapter. Thank you, musicians. Let us notice Proverbs 3. We're back to verse 5 and verse 6 in the book of Proverbs. The third chapter, verse 5 and verse number 6. In the reading of God's word through Solomon the preacher, he tells the people of God, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. Notice, comes with a promise, and he shall direct your paths. Notice, Solomon is clear. Solomon is plain. Solomon is upfront. Absolute trust is reserved for the Lord. Because notice he says, trust the Lord with all of your heart. Or we can completely trust God. But when it comes to our own understanding, this is where he's plain, this is where he's clear, and this is where Solomon is up front. We can't trust it completely. Come on, we can't rely upon our own understanding. And the reason being is because Solomon understood that our own understanding is finite. It's finite, so we can't lean upon it. Again, he's clear, he's plain, and he's up front. We cannot rely upon finite understanding. We can't do it. We can't do it. Based upon that, today's subject is don't rely on finite understanding. Don't rely on finite understanding. Again, I'm going to speak to you from the subject. Don't rely on finite understanding. Let's give God a praise for the subject. Come on, let's give him a praise for the subject. The reason Solomon is so clear, and the reason he is being so plain about us not relying upon our finite understanding is because Solomon had received from God wisdom or knowledge and understanding in order for him to lead God's people. And so the wisdom or the knowledge and understanding that Solomon is given here in Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, verse 5 and verse 6, is coming from the Lord. And whenever you decide that you're going to lean upon finite understanding, that's what you're going to rely upon, that's what you're going to wholeheartedly trust in, then you have to recognize that you're trusting in something, you're relying in something that is limited. When something is finite, it has its limitations. It has boundaries. It doesn't matter how much we study, how much we try to improve our intelligence, if you will, we are still limited. We still have limitations. Come on. And some of us know that because some of us would admit even today that we are smarter than we was 10 years ago. Come on, because some of us can admit it. I know I'm smarter than I was 10 years ago. In other words, in reference to my understanding, I'm not the same person that I was, watch this, as a teenager. I'm almost 50 years old. There's no way I have been walking with God this long, and yet I still have the mind of a teenager. Oh God, there's no way that I still have the mind of a boy. I don't have a childish mind. But yet when I really think about it, and I'm honest with myself, I still have limitations when it comes to my understanding. And you're the same, whether you want it to admit it or not. You may have within the last couple of years got a degree in something, but yet you are still limited. We still have boundaries. And when something is finite, understand that it is able to be measured. It is able to be measured. See, again, no matter what we think we know, even when it comes to what we believe, it is limited. It is able to be measured. And so that's the reason Solomon, again, is so clear. That's the reason he is so plain. He is so upfront with God's people in letting us know that when it comes to our finite understanding, we don't need to rely upon it. And if we choose to do so, we're messing ourselves up. Are you with me so far? Now, again, Solomon received wisdom from God. And I want to show you that because somebody may say, well, why should I listen to Solomon? Why should I take heed to what Solomon is saying? Notice in the book of 1 Kings. Notice the book of 1 Kings. Let's notice something about this man, Solomon. Let's notice something that the Bible calls the preacher. Let's notice something about the preacher. Because all preachers are not the same. Come on. So let's notice something about Solomon this morning. In 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter, let's notice verse number 5. Notice what the Bible said. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon. Watch this. In a dream by night. And God said to Solomon, ask, what shall I give you? Notice at Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon. God didn't appear to everybody. But he appeared to Solomon, and notice this, in a dream by night, and God said, ask, what shall I give you? Solomon, what is it that you want from me? What is it that I can do for you? Now notice if you drop down to verse number 8, notice Solomon respond, and your servant, this is Solomon, is in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. Notice what he's saying to God. Therefore, give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people. Woo! That I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours? Notice that when God asked Solomon, what is it that I can do? What do you want? Solomon asked God basically for wisdom. I need wisdom to lead your people. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not asking you for material things. I'm not asking for a house. I'm asking you to give me wisdom to lead your people. Give me wisdom so that when I tell your people to do something and they obey what I tell them, you'll bless them. Give me wisdom that whatever I say to your people, it will be a help to your people and it won't hurt your people. See, whenever you sit under a leader that's getting wisdom from God, then his words are going to help you and not hurt you. Come on, somebody. You want a word that's going to help your situation. Am I right about that? I come to church to get a word that will help my situation. That's the reason when I come to church, I may come in a way that I really don't need to be that way. I said, by the time I leave, God has given me what I need. I didn't get that many with by the time I leave, because I come hungry and thirsting for righteousness. And I'm asking God, show me what to do. I'm asking God, reveal your will. Then I never leave the same way that I came. And so Solomon here, don't miss it. Ask God, give me wisdom. If that would have been a lot of us, wisdom probably wouldn't have been the thing that we would have asked for. But why did he ask for wisdom? Because Solomon would later say that wisdom, watch this, is better than gold. See, wisdom is better than money. Come on, why you say it, Pastor? Because wisdom will get you money. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get what? Wisdom. And in all you're getting, get. Don't be in the dark. Get understanding. Where's the main place we're going to get it? At the church. He has us here to give us understanding. I don't want her in the dark with what she's dealing with. You're going to have to give her understanding. Watch this as a single person. And so I'm going to have you to say something that ain't going to last but 2 minutes, but it's for that single sister. It's for that single brother. I got to have you encourage that single brother that I'm going to do what he's asking me to do. You see what I'm saying? That's how God moves. That's how we move. But we have to be to the point to where we're like Solomon. We're God's servant. And see, being God's servant, that's what he asked for. He said, Lord, give me wisdom. He said, I don't know how to judge these people. Basically, Solomon was saying, I don't know everything these people going through. Even with this small congregation, I don't know everything folk going through. I need wisdom from God so that when I tell you something, I don't have to wonder whether God gonna back up his word. I can tell you something, go home, lay down and sleep and rest knowing that you gonna have a good outcome. See, I can preach it on New Year's Eve and tell her that if we rely upon God, every one of us gonna have a good outcome. Do you know I went home that night and rested good? Why? I know God spoke that. And I knew God would what? He'd back up his word. Now notice verse number 12. Now this is God talking back to Solomon. He said, behold, I have done according to your words. See, I have given you. Watch this, because I'm showing you why we need to listen to Solomon in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Notice again. Behold, I have done according to your words. See. Now see is more of understand. I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before you, nor shall any like you arise after you. Woo! Watch this. See, I have given you. Notice what he gave Solomon, because that's what we're listening to in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. See, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before you, nor shall any like you arise after you. And I have also given you what you have not asked, both riches, honor, so that there shall not be any like you among the kings of all your days. Why? Because he will do exceedingly abundantly above all you ask or think. Solomon didn't ask for riches, but because he's the God of more than enough, because he's a God of abundance, he said, Solomon, I'm going to give you what you didn't even ask for. And some of you have things right now that you really didn't ask for. It was overflow. It was overflow. You got more than what you were expecting to make on the job. But see, notice, God gave Solomon a wise and understanding heart. Now, we would have to be a fool not to listen to somebody who has received from God a wise and understanding heart, but to then go and listen to someone who does not have that. Come on. Because we will mess up ourselves. We will be responsible for jacking up our own lives. And let me say you this before we go on. I have been guilty, I don't know how many times, of leaning on finite understanding. Come on, I'm finna move on, but I've been there. Pastor, can you give us a number? Can't even count. Can't even count. Laws count. Of how many times I leaned on finite understanding rather than trusting God. I did it. I've been guilty. Listen, and delayed blessings. Do you hear me? I delayed better. Now, it's not just that I leaned upon my own finite understanding, but I was listening to people whose understanding was finite, that I thought was smarter than me. He must know. He is a worker at the bank, so he got to know what he's talking about. So if he tell me something can't be done, surely he know. His thing is finances. And see, I listen to finite understanding. Come on. A person at a bank will tell you something, but their understanding is limited. When they tell you they can't have, that you can't have a certain house based upon your credit score, see, that's limit. That's limit. Because, see, they don't know God could turn around that week and give you enough cash to go pay cash for that house that the finance person told you you can't have it because of credit. But see, sometimes God will say to us, your credit ain't going to matter in this situation. Oh, I'm teaching right. Same way with a doctor. Doctor may diagnose a person based upon an x-ray, based upon what he or she is seeing, but they are still finite. They're still finite. Come on. When a doctor says to a believer that they have determined the day of your death, man, that's finite. If you did not give me my life, then you cannot tell me when it will end. But God has the appointment book. Come on. But when you lean to finite understanding, it changes, watch this, how you see yourself. Come on. You ever been called a name by somebody and it changed how you saw yourself? Now I know most of us, we gonna tell folks, look, ain't that never bothered me that folks said. Come on. You ever been called a name? It bothered you even though you know you wasn't what they called you? See, I've been guilty, but I am not alone. I'm not alone. Gideon, in the book of Judges, the 6th chapter, was guilty of leaning on finite understanding. When the angel showed up, Gideon was hiding, threshing wheat, hiding it from the Midianites. Why was he hiding? Because whenever Israel would sow, the Midianites would come up and take it from them, and had put Israel to living in dens and caves. And they were afraid of their enemy. But an angel of the Lord showed up while Gideon was hiding. Ain't you glad that God know where you at and he know the word that you need? Showed up, and the angel of the Lord said, "Hail thou, you mighty man of valor." He basically showed up to let Gideon know it's turnaround season. It's a season for better. The angel came talking to Gideon, telling him it's turnaround season. But then Gideon, because he leaned, listen, to finite understanding, he asked the angel, "How can this be?" He said, "If it's so, then why are all these things happening to us?" He said, and besides that, he said, "My family is the poorest in Manasseh." And he said, "I'm the poorest in my family. How are you calling me mighty?" See, he was leaning on finite understanding. Gideon was only looking at what was happening right then, but the angel was talking about something that was getting ready to happen. Can I preach to somebody about something that's getting ready to happen? That your finite understanding will mess it up. Anybody God ever showed up and talked to you about what he was about to do, where he was about to take you, the victory he was about to give you, the better he was about to drop, the bigger he was about to manifest, and you got caught up in looking at how it is now? Think about that. Gideon almost messed up, and he almost missed his turnaround. He almost missed his battle. Lean into what? Finite understanding. I want us to really grasp that. You are a mighty man of valor. Gideon looked like, who are you talking to? I know he got me confused. It's the same way if I'm preaching and I point at you and say, "God gonna make you rich." When it's all said and done, you're going to be this, that, and the other. And some of us, I know he ain't talking to me. Come on. And try to reason with God as to why this can't be. That's some of us like that. God get to talking to us about better, and we get to trying to tell God why better can't happen. We try to tell God, am I right? But tell your neighbor, that's just leaning. Shout to another person, that's just leaning. You trying to figure it out. You trying to reason why this can't be. Mary was guilty of leaning to finite understanding. The angel of the Lord showed up and said to Mary, "Hail thou, you are highly favored." Don't she highly favored? And you are going to conceive in your womb and bear the Savior, Jesus. Me? Yeah, you. But Mary was a virgin. Come on. And when she leaned to finite understanding, she says to the angel, "How can this be, seeing that I do not know a man? How can it be and I haven't been with a man?" See, she was leaning to finite understanding. And in her case, from a normal standpoint, it was right. It was correct, because a woman needs the seed of a man to have a child. Mary said, "How can it be that I'm a virgin? I haven't known a man. I ain't been with a man to be pregnant." And then God dropped infinite understanding on her. He said, "The Most High is going to overshadow you. The power of the Almighty is going to come upon you." See, sometimes what God is talking about doing in our life, it's going to take the power of God. It's going to look at somebody and say, what God talking about doing for you? Now shout this to him. Tell him it's bigger than you. Come on, it's bigger. What God going to do for me this year, it's bigger than what I can do. Oh, Lord. God, the things that I'm going to do this year, they're bigger than the check that I can write. That's the reason I'm not even going to lean. But see, she was leaning. Listen, and she asked God, how can this be? How can this be? Seeing that I've never been with a man. That's finite understanding. Mary, God is about to do something. Watch, that has never been done. He's about to do a new thing. Woo, somebody receiving that. He's about to do a new thing. God will do a new thing in your body. God will do a new thing in your family. Come on here, somebody. He's about to do a new thing. Be seated. But she asked, how can this be? How can this be? How can this be? No, she was saying to the Lord, I don't understand this. I can't wrap my mind. There's some blessing God will pour out on you. You can't wrap your... And watch this. Once you can't wrap your mind around it, you definitely can't wrap your freeing mind around it. You can't wrap. That's what happened to Joseph when he told his brothers his dream. They couldn't wrap their mind around that. This is going to be the year I'm going to give you your house. But Lord, how can that be when I can't get rid of the house I'm in now? This is going to be the year that your healing going to manifest in your body. Lord, how can that be? And the doctor said, nobody has come back from where I am. See, it could be that the doctor getting ready to put up a picture of you in his office, that he going to be able to give other folk a reference point and say, look at this man. God will tell you stuff about yourself when you look in the mirror. You will see everything folk been saying.
Thank you for watching A Word for Deliverance with Pastor Leonard Cochran of A Place of Refuge, Noonan. A Place of Refuge is located at 10 Fisher Alley in the city of Noonan, Georgia. If you would like to visit us, our worship times are every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7:15 p.m. To order today's message on CD, please call the church office at 770-252-3855 and reference the order number on the screen.